Another evening of Museum in Lotus. Do you remember, Mr. Pino? What episode is it today? Number what?
49th.
It's the 49th episode of Museum in Lotus, which means that we have at least spent 49 weeks together. And if we include the weeks that, let's say, was Chinese New Year or something, probably we have been going on for this for about a year, because in the year there are 52 weeks, am I right?
Yes, it reminds me a point of sadness. We're about to finish this one-year episode. I have tremendously enjoyed. I've learned a lot. I've been able to relate to people in a way that I never thought from the first episode. And again, it's only been mine. But it's been a pleasure being here every single Tuesday, looking forward to it. Very apprehensive at the beginning, getting more and more relaxed, being more self-confident, and hopefully being able to deliver the concept behind this wonderful, versatile collection of Master Yun. Very, very, very versatile. It's beyond what a collector would be. And we're actually here in this 52 episode, and there are 3 more to run. We have presented what a collector is able to put together and be a private museum for the benefit of anybody who wishes to come over and not only admire, but relate each single piece of art, with every single piece of art that has been designed, produced, thought, and brought to the audience by Master Yun.
Right, so let's cheers to the 49 episodes so far first. Cheers. Museum in Lotus, we are focusing on the collections owned privately by Master Yun, not for sale, but as I mentioned every single week, that through these collections, hopefully we get to understand better about Master Yun's creations, his thoughts, and of course his fengshui art as well. Now, you know, we were talking about this, the 49th week that we are doing this, and it's going to go beyond that, like going to go in 52nd week, which is a year. The thing about timing is this: if we take back the time, if we turn back the clock, I don't even know how to say that. Go back in time, let's say, 49 weeks ago, before even the first episode was done. In a parallel universe, if there were to be in another possibility, probably this project might not have started. Am I right?
It's likelihood that it would not have started.
Yeah, but whether it started or not, started which is now, and even if it did not start, these 49 weeks would have gone by the same. I mean, what I mean is that the time would go on the same. Just that because we have decided to embark on this, as Mr. Pino has mentioned, special, challenging project, that's why this 49 weeks, even though time goes by the same, the quality of the time and the content and what we experience, hopefully what we brought to you as well, it's different.
Yes.
So it is very much in our hands at what we want to do with our time. And I will tell you, as I told Mr. Pino today, that timing, it's our topic for today. We are simply going to put a few different things together, but you will realize that all of them behind it will spell timing and how we must capture good timing.
It's all about timing.
I want to ask Mr. Pino, are there any, Italian, Catholic, what might be some of the more important dates that Italians have to observe?
The first one that comes to my mind, and is very much related to the period that we are about to approach, is basically Christmas.
Right.
And Christmas means the birth of Christ, rejuvenation. It means about also discovering in ourselves with the Heavenly Father a new dimension. Again, it's about time, which means 1 year has gone by and we celebrate the birthday for a new year. As you mentioned before, and I very much believe in what you said, it's the rhythm of time.
Right. So whenever Christmas comes along, for friends all around the world, actually not just Italians or Catholics now, for nearly everyone around the world, you feel that that's sort of like an alarm clock to celebrate, and at the same time a new year is about to come. A year has passed, you recollect what you have done, and so on. For the Chinese, one of the more mega ones will definitely be like the Chinese New Year. You can't escape from that. And then, of course, there are many different intervals, and there are many different things that you can do in this, all these festives as well. But today we have one gentleman with us that will tell us a different kind of timing. But before we go into that, let's take a look at this sculpture right next to me. If we tell you who this is and what it used to do in the past, I think he would be a top favorite in the gallery henceforth.
I can only tell you that it's a very heavy sandstone, skillfully sculpted by a very, very, very refined master. This is not anybody sculpting. It's somebody who really had it, not only as a skill, and the skill went on for at least 10 years, 20 years, or even more, capable not only of representing, but providing the feel, providing the voice, if you wish, of the sculpture. So I would say that it would take at least 3 to 4 people to move it, possibly close to 100 kilos, if not more.
3 to 4 people to move it.
Yes.
I think more. Okay, this sculpture that we have here, we have not tell you who is this, but Mr. Pino has already mentioned that this gentleman here is carved of sandstone.
Sandstone.
If we remember, there was another episode that we had a Guan Yin that was carved of sandstone as well.
Yes.
I have moved it back to the warehouse because that is too precious. Now, it's so heavy that we actually put it on a plate with wheels.
Yes.
It took 3 people to move this, even though it's with wheels. So I think if there was no platform, no wheels, no trolley beneath it, it might be, number one, unmovable. Second, it would take a lot of people's effort to actually move it. Who is this actually? Before I ask you the age, but who is this?
I think they go hand in hand, not only about identifying the subject, but also establishing the period. This is definitely a Ming period.
It's a Ming piece.
This is a Ming period piece.
If we want to remind ourselves, Qing dynasty started in 1640 something.
Yes.
1640 something, that means that it's at least 300 over years old.
I would say even more than that.
It might even be more than 300 over years old.
Because it started, the Ming dynasty, correct me if I'm wrong, in the 14th century.
1300s.
So it went on, it's the end of the 1300s, and it went on until 16, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Say mid 1600s. So you imagine if this were to be the beginning of the Ming dynasty, we can easily talk about 1650, 1670, a period like that, and we would not be very much far away from reality.
That means about 500 years from now.
Correct.
500, a piece that is 500 years. I mean,
500
you catch my attention now. I'm thinking about this guy who is, sorry, this gentleman carved of sandstone, super heavy. If they, okay, one thing I learned from this whole series after 49 episodes is that if they carve it into something that is so heavy, that means that they are meant to last. They thought that it's going to last for a long time, which also means that this persona, the person that is being carved, is someone who is very important, who's going to be there for a long time and probably prepared for generations of people to worship it, to pray to it. Am I right? I think this concept makes sense, right?
I'm sure this is exactly what has happened. It was meant to be in a monastery, and I'm getting closer now to the definition of this wonderful deity, and it was meant to last for century and century, and we are privileged to be here, to have it next to us. This is Weng Chai Wang.
This, you mean this person?
This sculpture is the representation of Weng Chang Wang.
Let me get that. Let me try to get that for you, huh? Because it's Chinese is the #1 most difficult language in the world.
Agreed.
You know, I don't say this. You know, it was done in the foreign study that Chinese and Cantonese are terribly difficult. Actually, Mr. Pino, I'm looking at his notes. He's trying to say that this sculpture, Ming Dynasty, someone who is meant to last for centuries and centuries, it's carved, bear this in mind, okay? Mothers out there, you want to be very, very mindful of what's going to happen in this episode. This deity is what we call the Wen Chang Wang. Sometimes it can be called Wen Chang Di Jun or something else, but the two words, I think if I say these two words, a lot of you will be very familiar. It's called Wen Chang. Wen Chang means studies, it means literati, it means ideas, it means getting a good official name and so on. It has everything to do if your kids are still in school and studying, or if you or your husband, they are actually working in official posts, or if you are actually looking to promote in ranks. It has everything to do with Wen Chang. And this gentleman, this deity, is the king of Wen Chang, the Wen Chang Wang, or the Wen Chang Di Jun, some of them call that. That means he's the deity of literati. He's a deity of good studies. He's the deity of good grades. He's a deity of becoming an official. That makes him a very important person, even in today's world, especially here in Singapore. Do you know that the major exams just in Singapore just ended?
Yes.
Some of the major exams, like PSLE, the primary school leaving exam, most of the end of term exams, end of year exams, for most people, except for those in secondary 4, work hard, add oil, and do your best. You know, this is the period during the whole year that you will find that less people go out to eat and shop. Because in Singapore, when one kid goes through a major exam, everyone in the family has to stay in the family to look at that kid. I don't know how that will help, but that's the habit of Singaporeans nowadays. So you will notice a pattern, a different pattern, because of the timing is different. Like when Christmas is coming, everyone will go and shop, and you know, turkeys will be all gone, all this stuff. But during examination period, people and businesses, they can feel a strange movement in business that unexplainable. Is it COVID? It's not. It's because it's the exam period. Everyone will eat at home now until the kid finishes exam. If you're talking about examinations, this is the God. Am I right?
Incredible. Incredible for many reasons, worshipped by Buddhists, worshipped by Taoists, and it's the god of culture and knowledge. Now, when I refer back to my culture and I think about a saint, would there be a saint, a specific saint regarding culture and regarding knowledge? Possibly, yes, but I'm ignorant, so ignorant I would not know. So I'm amazed about the fact how important, and we go back to the 14th century, and we have here a culture that is oriented towards culture and knowledge.
100%, 100%.
It's just incredible. For me, it's incredible.
It's extreme. This, you know, when we talk about, I forgot, I think there was an episode that we talked about that, the National Day episode.
Yes.
That we say the Chinese are the only one when we say Happy New Year. Remember we said the episode?
Yes.
Buon
compleanno.
Buon compleanno.
Yes.
Which means a good completed year. That's
Yes.
how we do in
Yes.
Italian.
Yes.
When we say in Chinese, during Chinese New Year, we don't say Happy New Year. It doesn't make sense for people. We say 恭喜发财, I wish that you get rich. So the thing about wealth, it's important in the Chinese belief. And that's why we have a lot of wealth gods. The other aspect of the Chinese culture that people must recognize this before they can understand what's going on in history and culture is that the idea of what they call 公民, I have to write this. The idea of what they call 公民, it's extremely important. That's why there's a gods or a lot of gods that are in charge of something like this. And that means that with culture and knowledge, you can get a title. That's how important it is. It's called 公民. This 名 means that you have status. This 公 that means that you have contributed something. Basically, it means that if they say that you are 考一个公民, that means that you have to go through the exams. And once you get through the exams, you can be working in the government office. And therefore, the whole family will be proud of you. This is a super important concept in the Chinese history. I mean, this Wencang Wang, this sculpture is carved in Ming Dynasty, but the concept actually existed way before that. Taoist, yes, but it also came a little bit from came much from the Confucius theory, but it's crazy, yeah.
Now, if we were just to specify, as we have just mentioned, about culture, about literature, it definitely is important, but there's more to it. And it's about a deity worship also for the compassion.
Right.
And I remember that when we spoke about Guanyin, we spoke about compassion. How important is by anybody to be compassionate? And that is to understand other people's faults, mistakes, limits, and be compassionate. Not be arrogant. And I think this is divine. It's a sense of tolerance. And that's the reason why this wonderful deity gained a lot of worshippers. People who knew about their limits, and they prayed, and they felt not only understood, but they felt that they had relate themselves to a deity who would not only understand, but be comprehensive in getting them together. It's also a deity of comfort, understanding distress. And who has not gone through exams? I've gone through exams, and I was extremely distressed.
Really? Were you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I was distressed. I wanted to perform well, but you know, it relates to the moment, to what you've been able not only to acquire in terms of knowledge, but also to deliver. To deliver is very difficult. I know of friends who are very knowledgeable, but once it comes to the fact of delivering what they're not capable. I don't know, there's almost a block in them. They cannot formulate in the same way as if they were in a private situation on a one-to-one basis. So it's wonderful to not only recognize the importance of culture, as we have already mentioned, but compassionate, comforting, helping the distressed. Beautiful.
I see. I see. Well, one thing 100% for sure is that, as you said, this Wenchang Wang was carved in sandstone, and you know, maybe about 500 years from now, before it was carved,
yes.
We can still see a lot of intricate details on it. You can come to the gallery to admire it. I see a lot of some mothers actually saying that they say that, oh my God, didn't know that Wenchang Wang is here all along in the gallery too. I understand how you feel. Should have come here before the PSLE started. Should have come here. But what I want to tell you is that what I know about this sculpture is that in the past, maybe 500 years ago, very certain that this sculpture is not just an art piece. It was really something that people prayed to, and we actually have two evidence that points us into this direction. Shall I go into that point?
I think you should.
One thing we observed is that what you see here is the whole sculpture. You see, actually it's quite big, okay, because we're just sitting on the chair, he's on the ground now. But if I go on the ground, actually he's nearly as tall as I am. And this is what you see. But what you must know is that as the back, you can come and see, yeah, and you can feel it. Actually, there's a hole at the back. Can we take a look at the hole? We did some, see, there's a hole at the back. This is at the back, you know, of the or opening or hole at the back. Some of us who are more familiar with Taoist or Buddhist rituals would know why there is actually a hole. And the hole is what they call it's a place for them to actually input what we call the real gods, real 真神 or the 真身 in it. The hole itself is called a 庄藏. Did I get it correct? Yeah.
You
it's Chinese, yeah.
Absolutely, and thank you very much, because I would have pronounced it in a totally different way.
Okay, the whole concept. I think that's, if once I explain it, you might find a connection between the Catholicism rituals. Okay, 装 means to install. So something can be installed inside. The other word is 藏, 宝藏的藏, that means treasures. That means it's a hole, it's an opening that I can install treasures into it. So now the question is that, why put what, right? Put what inside? We must understand that this is actually a sandstone sculpture that I think I'm over-elaborating here, because most Singaporeans, Chinese, they might know is that when you have a sculpture that is made of, let's say, common material, they might not have the power of the deity that it represents. So I don't know who is it, maybe a Taoist monk, a Taoist person, a practitioner, they'll come up with a few things. Sometimes it's a set of 5 things. It can be a set of 5 things depending on which village you come from and so on. And sometimes it can be a smaller version of the deity of the Wenchang Wang himself. For instance, I didn't bring over here today. For instance, we have a pendant. It's made of jade that is actually about the literati god of wealth, for instance. And with that, goes through ritual, it's been blessed, and this thing that actually contains the power will go in, and then it will be sealed. And then, therefore, the whole sculpture would manifest and expand its power. Because if you put a small thing there, people can't pray, they can't see what's going on. If you have a bigger sculpture, but it doesn't encompass the real spirit, then this is merely an art sculpture. Which means that with this opening at the back, you can know that this Wenchang Wang, back in the days, 500-600 years ago, it was a Wenchang Wang that had the 真身 or the 真神, the real God or the real energies inside, and people were praying to it for good results, for good official titles, and so on.
I'm very surprised in the sense this square hole was, as Mr. Khan has indicated, it was definitely closed. And it had 5 gold, 5 pieces of wood, 5 gems, 5 medicines, and 5 clothes, 5 sutra.
Right.
And it's the repetition of the 5. It's not the 1, it's the 5. And I quite like this concept. And the sort of energy that it would then flow to the devotees praying. So the sculpture per se would have almost what we say a soul, a heart, which would beat through the object that is placed inside.
I like the word. That we can say that the word is actually called soul. We call it the true God or the real energy, or what there's the word that is thing, the soul. So it was imbued with the energy. That's right, yeah. And not just that, and what makes this even more significant is that, as Mr. Pino you have mentioned, it might have been carved by a few masters. It would have been super revered in these times. Because you have to come closer and look at this. I can show you close-ups, but it will not be the same if you come here and feel it a little bit. That at the base of the whole sculpture, where the Wenchang Wang is sitting on, this platform here, I think originally that's more, but it might have been broken off. Here, if you feel that there's a sense of engraving. You might even see it on the screen that there's a little bit of, what do you call that, embossed feel to it. Those are Chinese characters. There are names that is written there. Can we take a look at the names? Yeah. You see, okay, we get a close-up of this. And actually there are names that's written on here. I must say that because much has been cut off, and with 500 over years, you can't really read what it is. But the first word we can see that it actually means wei. That means that for something. It could have been for the place, for this village, for this county, for this province. And then after that, the rest of the words, they come in 2 words or 3 words. Those are the names of the donor.
The donors.
Might have been like these few leaders in this whole village or in this whole province. They come together and say that, okay, for the sake of our descendants, all of them must get into a good official title. So let's all chip in and do something about this. And then for the sake of all this. And actually at the end, I'm not sure whether there's another image that shows the end. No, that's it? Yeah. You have to come and feel it. See, this is heaven's calling. You come and feel it. Because at the end, here reads, together we would prosper.
Prosper.
Yeah. Together we are grateful, together we are prosper. So it must have been for this temple, for this or for that. All the names involved, and together we are doing this for the sake of prosperity. So it was a significant Wenchang Wang in its days. It was a significant one that people prayed to, and it's one that look at the details. You would recognize the hat, which is a classic Ming Dynasty, that kind of hat, and there is a significance in why the belt is here, but not here.
It's above the belly.
Yeah, why?
I think, I don't know, but mine is a pure guess. It's showing prosperity, if you wish.
Yeah.
You don't want to cover prosperity with a belt.
Okay. I often joke about this nowadays during my other talks, that you will find that all in Chinese culture that are branded as gods of wealth, there are many of them, they are never slim. They don't have 6 packs. 6 packs is bad for wealth. Because they only feel that, it's only when you're wealthy enough, or when you are a high official, then you will get a chance to eat meat, right? Or eat meat more often than others. And therefore explaining, and therefore you don't have to go, you're not a farmer anymore. 99% of China back then, they were farmers. So you are not a farmer, you are just writing, all this stuff. So you are a man that you don't have to exercise that much or, labor that much, and therefore explaining this kind of size. So it is of no coincidence that you see all the gods of wealth, they're supposed to have a belt that's way bigger to signify I'm prosperous, yeah. I'm powerful. That's why I don't have to labor. This was the ideal physique that people were going for back then.
And as you correctly have indicated, it's a way of showing prosperity
Absolutely, yeah.
and maybe distinguishing themselves from
100%.
the farmers who
Yes.
may not have had all that meat you mentioned before. And that's again a sign of opulence. Look at the face.
Yes.
Does it require any explanation? I don't think so. Refined face, full of character, elongated ears. We've already touched briefly about the headgear. Look at the elongated almond eyes, the nose. I can almost feel the breathing. Look at the lips, look at the chin, and then the neck. Beautiful round collar. And I think the collar is part and parcel of the round collar of the attire. Wonderful folds, and you can see it here, and you can also see it, the sleeves, all the folds along the sleeve.
Yeah, they're supposed to hide papers inside.
Correct. And is actually seated, as you can see, comfortably, straight spine. Again, a sense of, I gather, of aristocracy.
100%. Because in the past, there are three levels of people. When you talk about aristocracy, okay, the top tier, the royals, you're born in the blood. Second, it's the aristocrat people. How do you become an aristocratic person? It's when you fight for yourself, you go for exam, and you manage to get a 功名, you manage to get a title, and henceforth you become an aristocrat. I mean, the people that are praying to Wen Changwang back then are people who have to go for what we call the 科举, which means that it's a national exam thing. But unlike today's national exam, which some of them just ended, our national exam nowadays happens once in every year. Once in every year. At the October to November period, that's when everyone goes nuts because that's when all the national exams are happening at the same time. But back in the Ming Dynasty days and the Qing Dynasty days, there are many tiers of exams, and once they get past it, they will be called a 进士. They will be called a 进士. They will be like given a title of sorts. Okay, some exams in a province, maybe 2 years one time. If you go somewhere that's even bigger, maybe 3 years one time. And if you go to the imperial exam, the ones that's right in front of the emperor, he might be looking at you while you're writing your answers. Might be, I don't know, might be 4 years one time. So there's a schedule to it. There's a huge schedule to it. This Wen Changwang, it's actually a testament to the timing of the people back then. Every 2 years, every 3 years, every 4 years, and so on. Some people, back in the old days, by the time they finish the exams, they might be 70 years old. Huh. And then they say, oh, finally, now I can be a junior civil servant. That's the spectrum of time they invest to allow themselves to have a title for themselves and the family. This is how serious this whole business is.
And what a satisfaction, independently from the age. Either you're 70, 71, but you've managed to achieve something very difficult. And that is a feast for whoever has been able to pass the exam, but I believe the entire family, if not even the community. Imagine a village far away from the important cities where one of the members would have sat for this exam and would have managed to pass. That is not only the honor of the single person of the family, but the entire village.
100%. As a saying in Chinese, it's called 衣锦还乡. That means that you will be going back to your hometown in silk. You'll be going back to your hometown in silk. Okay, we still use this phrase today. It's because that it takes a whole village to support maybe one son to go for imperial exams. Because it's nuts, because it will take you like 3 years. You can't farm at all. So you have, the family must be strong enough, or the community must be strong enough, like all of them coming together to invest or to support, to have a sculpture like this and to have the real gods inside, that their village can produce a handful of scholars, the word scholars, and then hopefully when they succeed in the courts, in the parliament, they can come back in silk and bring glory and honor to the village. and of course, realistically, to bring real changes to the living standards of the people back there. So that's the whole thing. The spectrum of timing in this thing, it just spans across generations. For the people who are taking exams, it will be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, this kind of schedule. For the people who have invested into the whole village, into the whole descendants, it's meant for generations. So they could do one thing. They could do this thing. Time will pass on the same. But because they do something like that, something valuable is actually created. It's choice. Well, other than this Wen Chang sculpture, for sure we can't take it back to the warehouse, especially after all you all know. I'm sure even after exams, a lot of you all will be coming over here to take a look at this. Please be gentle with this and maybe touch it a little here and there. But I must emphasize again that it was a piece that was carved for people to pray on, because at the back there was this the zhuang zhang, this thing that will imbue the real energy inside. In terms of feng shui, we have other ways to remedy it, but you can come by with your kid to take a look at it. This is the gentleman that people used to pray to get into civil service. I mean, it's a bit equivalent today that if you want to get a government scholarship, this is actually the one. Right? We have another set of artifacts here owned by Master Yun that tells us time as well, but not in terms of 2 years, 3 years, few generations. That tells us a time in a day. Am I right?
Time in a day.
Time in a day.
Absolutely time in a day. Now,
yeah.
Before we jump to this interesting set, let me just mention one more thing.
Right.
This sculpture, this wonderful sculpture, the moment it was completed, it had very vibrant natural pigment. And you can actually see the traces of these pigments in the reds, oranges, and pink and blues. Now, when you look at where it's now sitting, this sculpture, and you see the background,
oh, you're right.
You see the colors. Let me tell you, those kind of vivid, lively colors were exactly the ones, not all of them, but definitely a number of them were on the sculpture. And it's not a case that over the 400 or 500 years, the colors have faded away. In this case here, in Master Yun, they will not fade away, because the technique, this painting is not going to be exposed to the elements. This statue, this wonderful sculpture was. But remember, the moment it was finished, it was absolutely full of colors. When you come, examine it, and
right.
You will see the colors.
You're right, I missed that one. Yeah. They put a lot of effort into this. Meant to last for years. As I was saying, we have a set. I won't say it's a set, I don't think they belong to a set, but something similar that tells time as well, that tells us the importance of time as well. Chinese, right? Am I right? Chinese? Yeah. Chinese, but not Ming Dynasty, unfortunately, but still very vintage. I think 100 years old.
I think they're definitely 20th century, and 20th century could be the beginning of the 20th century, which would bring us to close to 100 years, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. But again, when we look at this, it's not a pair, they're two different objects, very similar in the sense they were used for the same scope, different pigmentation, but similar representation. And as you can see, this...
Hold one of them, careful, and I'll hold the slightly bigger one.
This is a solid piece of wood. It's hollow inside, and we will see. So in other words, it has at the bottom a cut.
I see, yeah.
A cut through. And this has a cut through because it has to make a specific sound. And it has a mallet, and the mallet would allow the sound to basically be heard. Now, what is, if you look at the handle here, the handle represents two animals. One is a known animal, living animal to this day, and it's the cockerel. And the other one is a mythical animal, which is the dragon.
I think most of the viewers, when they see something, a shape like this, they might have guessed what it is. One piece of wood with, and the more obvious thing is that because you have a mallet in hand, and you kind of know what is this going to be about, but you highlighted appropriately that the handle, which now I realize that if we do it gently, that it can be held like that, actually. Yes. And you know, very user-friendly because it just fits two fingers nicely. One is a rooster, a chicken actually, then the other is a dragon. And I suppose the mallet is to, would you like to do the honors? Yeah. I see. So we might be familiar with this. Oh, this one gives a different tone, yeah?
Yes.
Mine gives a different tone.
I have, across the road from where I live, a Chinese Taoist temple. And sometimes I do listen to the sound, and I see the priest actually, whilst they're praying, there's this sound as a background. It's creating a rhythm for the prayers. So for celebration, sometimes for different kind of function, you would hear this wonderful, I like it very much, gentle sound. Now, my question here, when I look at it, why a cockerel?
Exactly.
And why do we have
a dragon?
A dragon.
I suppose the common conception they have when it's talking about, they have a name for it. They know. And they say that it's called a 木鱼. That means that in direct translation, it's like a wooden fish.
Wooden fish.
Okay.
This is a wooden fish.
If we look at this, probably the only thing that resembles a fish might be the scales here.
Yes.
I can't even decipher whether it's a dragon scale or a fish scale. Let's say it's a fish scale because you have it on both sides. So it's a 木鱼. You might recognize it as part of the Buddhist ritual that we know when they do this, and then they would recite the scriptures along the way. But I think that this thing has something more that has got to do with what you're asking. That why is it a rooster, and why is it a dragon? So I'm going to ask you the same question. Why? Guess. Why is it a dragon, and why is it a rooster? Bear in mind that if they leave this empty, just a nice handle, or if they just carve one fish here or two fish here, it would definitely have been way easier than carving a dragon and a rooster. So there must be a reason for this to happen. Why? Why did they carve this? Why are you smelling? What wood is this? Yeah.
Very good. Can I tell you? I think this is camphor wood.
It's camphor. Yeah. I think it's camphor wood. Yeah.
I mean, I'm smelling it, and it's camphor wood. And I understand why camphor wood. They would not want to have in a temple an object that would attract woodworms.
Right.
So the one of the timber that does not allow the worms to attack would be the camphor wood. And I'm smelling it, and let me say, it's fragrant, it's beautiful.
It's at least about 100 years. So yeah, I understand that some of you are saying that they're repeating a name that is called a wooden fish and so on. But really the question is that look at this. I mean, look at this. I'm supposed to go closer, look at this. It's a dragon and not a phoenix. This is actually a rooster, okay? Why is this a dragon and a rooster? I mean, look at it, it's not a phoenix lah, okay?
Not a phoenix,
not
at all, not at all.
If you were a phoenix, the crown here would be absolutely different. So a dragon and a rooster, or a chicken, if you might want to simplify it. So weird, it's so difficult to carve, this thing, right? So why is that so? Oops, why is that so?
Okay, let's just think. We would have the cockerel or the rooster to wake up early in the morning. But why would this be important? It's because of the monks, possibly, for their rituals, for their prayers, for their tasks, daily tasks. And that would be early in the morning. But it could also be referred to the dragon. So one of the two, in my opinion, would give us the timing in the morning. The other one would give us the timing in the afternoon, in the evening, for the same tasks. Again, prayers, meals, and other kind of rituals.
Well, if you allow me, I have a rather feng shui related explanation to it.
Yes.
First thing we recognize is that if there's anything that's similar between the dragon and the rooster, is that they are actually part of the 12 zodiacs of the Chinese astrology. Maybe I have an image here that actually says, give people a reminder of what the 12 animals are. Do we have it? You see, look at this. The 12 animals, the 12 zodiacs. Mm-hmm. You have a dragon. Let's take a look at the dragon in case they can't find it. There you have it. That is a dragon. Poorly drawn one nonetheless. Yeah. Okay, I want you to take note of the word that's next to it. That word, the Chinese character. Miss Pino, it's time for some Chinese lessons. That word is called chen.
Chen.
Very good, yeah. And we have the rooster as well. You see, quite next to it, opposite that. See that?
Yes.
That's the rooster. Look at the Chinese word next to it. It's called you.
You.
You. Yeah, so one is chen, one is you. The thing about Chinese is that we are very efficient in one sense is that we use these 12 zodiacs, 12 animals to demarcate timing as well. So let's take a look at the clock. We have a clock. This is a clock that's a modern clock for sure. 12 to 12, but we do see that we separate 24 hours. The Chinese knew that there were 24 hours into every 2 hours, one segment. So there are 12 segments, just nice for the 12 zodiacs to represent them.
Right.
And the dragon represents the morning. Let's take a look at where the dragon is. Okay, there we have, one on the left is called chen. That's 7 to 9 a.m.
7 to 9 a.m.
And the one that we say yo, that represents the represented by the rooster, it's 5 to 7 p.m.
Right.
So there is an absolute explanation to why this wooden fish has both the dragon and the rooster, because the dragon represents the morning, 7 to 9 a.m., and the rooster represents 5 to 7 p.m., which brings us to an excellent point. People will be using this as a time teller. That if it's 7 to 9 a.m., maybe some kind of signal, or I don't know, some kind of rhythm of sorts, they'll tell people that it's time to wake up, time to go for breakfast, time to do your rituals. And if it's 5 to 7 p.m. in the evening, because we must remember that in the past, there were no electrical lights. By the time that it's 6 plus 7 p.m., it's going to be nighttime. People sleep earlier way back then. Unlike all of us now, even if you're on your bed, if you're watching Netflix, that doesn't exist in the past. So 5 to 7 p.m., they'll say that it's dinner time. We're going to close the gates. Make sure that you have your lights on, make sure you have your oil lamp on, and so on. I'm sure eventually it evolved into another way of telling time or telling people to get ready. Like for instance, if you have a lot of people that's waiting for a ritual, maybe they have a certain signal to it, certain rhythm to it that would tell you that what's going to happen again. So we have here something that's very interesting. If you get what the dragon and what the rooster means, that you know that it's a time teller.
Yes.
It's a time teller. It's actually like an ancient clock that or an ancient notifier or ancient reminder or calendar that we have here. But probably just enough to tell the time of a day.
I'm fascinated also, let me tell you, from a very superficial way about the sort of patina. This has colors, pigments only on the crest and the eyes of the dragon, and all the rest is just bare wood. And look at the way the patina has evolved, and you have this slight sheen to it. The other
yes, 100%.
The other one instead has a red pigment, and the beautiful sculptures in their own right.
I must say that, if probably if this person is going around the village or going around the whole county or going around the whole court, because it might have belonged to someone who is rich enough. If not, it might have belonged to someone who is rich enough or ritualistic. If not, they could have just shouted. It's evening. They could have just shouted.
Yes.
So in order to be more civilized, they have something like that. And it's actually very user-friendly, I might say, because as you see, not that heavy, canvas, soft wood, and 2 fingers. One at the chin of the dragon, the other at the beak of the rooster, and maybe just to make it steadier. And then they will just walk around the whole court, the whole estate, the whole big estate owned by this rich family, and then they'll just do this to tell you the time is here. This is a great thing, yeah.
Very beautiful. I quite like it, yes.
And see, so handy, yeah. So there we have an artifact that tells time, probably just for the day or the hours and so on. And time is important, Mr. Pino. It's very important. You were talking about this piece of calligraphy that actually shares the same color themes and color codes with this Wenchang Wang here. I intentionally placed this here because I chanced upon this 2 days ago. And I have to share with you that this piece of calligraphy was exhibited in Tokyo Metropolitan Art Museum last year. And why is it back with me is because it is here. It's going to go to Chimes next week. So we had it all framed up. Can we take a look at how it looked last year when it was at the museum? Let's take a look. See, there it was.
Oh, I see.
This is the one. This is the moment when it was in Tokyo Metropolitan Art Museum. And actually, we have something that's this year as well, but it's still in Japan. Let's take a look at this year's. This is one from this year. And then let's take a close-up. There we have. Okay, I show you this because it reads Yun Longzi, which is Master Yun. And for those of us who recognize, those are Japanese words. So this calligraphy is back with us over here, and this will be exhibited in Chimes next week. The meaning of this calligraphy, mega calligraphy, it also means something. I mean, it's so mega, see, they're trying to pan this now. If you can see that we are actually slanting it, so that because I don't have such a high ceiling, they're actually slanting it to actually accommodate the space. So it's a mega one. And the meaning has a connotation of time as well. It reads Bai He Shou, which means that it's 100 cranes celebrating longevity. Longevity, that's a timing thing. And even the calligraphy that's behind you, it's called 日月重光. The first 2 words, it can mean sun and moon. It can also mean day and night, which are also aspects of timing. So this timing thing has existed, of course, way before Ming Dynasty. Till Ming Dynasty, when the scholars, they were all fervently preparing for their examinations, and even to the smallest decimal of recording and announcing time every single day with the wooden fish, with the 12 zodiac signs, and so on. Speaking about timing, next week, Mr. Pino will also be at the Chimes exhibition.
I will.
But there's one thing. Next week, next Tuesday, there will not be museum in Lotus, because next Tuesday, which is the 25th of October, is the moving in date of the Chimes exhibition, fashion show and fengshui art exhibition, and I will definitely be there to take a look at what's going on. I will bring you live broadcasts of what's going on there. It's going to be a crazy day. It's going to be a grand day. So let's take a look at the Chimes outfits. Yeah, there we have. Friendship of prosperity and elegance. The time is upon us. 26th to 28th of October. 26 and 27. These days, they are open to all the exhibitions from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. But every single night, there would be a show. There would be fashion show. There would be people who are singing live. There will be champagne. There will be canapes. Am I getting this word correct? Canapes?
Canapes.
Canapes, yes. Yeah. So every night, the reception starts at 6:30 p.m. Show starts at 7 p.m. For the 28th of October, it will be a private event. Only invited guests and VIPs and clients are allowed. You are definitely invited. You must be there.
You're very kind.
You
Thank you.
must be there. Yeah, insist. Yeah. So that's the thing. And if you talk about timing, we have a few countdowns. Because if you are a scholar, you'll be counting down to, oh my God, when's my next examination? I'm sure if you are a parent, you'll be counting down to the first paper that your kid is going to have. Then henceforth will be the start of PSLE and O levels and so on. We have a few countdowns as well because feng shui is about time and space. And since today is all about timing, you must be glad that I don't actually pester you and remind you with this wooden fish every single time that the timing is close once. Can you imagine if you listen to if you see me every time, I will say that I will knock it a few times and say that, oh, we're just 7 days away from this, we're just 8 days away from this. But we do have a few countdowns. For instance, I mentioned 26th to 28th of October. So actually we are 7 days to the Chimes exhibition. 7 days. That's a week.
Around the corner.
My goodness, 7 days to a Chimes exhibition. The last time we had the Chimes exhibition was 3 years ago, before the pandemic. I didn't know you then. Did I know you then?
Possibly we knew each other, yes.
Briefly.
Yes.
Very briefly.
Yes.
So time passed. So many, a couple of years later, actually we are doing this show together. So 7 days to the Chimes exhibition is going to be a grand one, a grander one than last time. It's going to be magnificent with Eric Rizina's fashion show and so on. And we have several other countdowns as well. For instance, we are 60 plus days. Let's take a look. 65 days to winter solstice. For the Chinese, I mentioned that Chinese New Year is an important date. Winter solstice is also the other one. We have a saying in Chinese called 冬大过年. The winter solstice is actually greater or more important than the Chinese New Year because it is during this day that people stop being in the fields. They will really rest and rest all the way to Chinese New Year. So 65 days of winter solstice, if you're my client, you know what that means. And of course, the next one we are looking forward is 109 days to the start of spring, which is the real New Year. See, timing is extremely important.
Timing is important.
Time moves whether you do something or you do nothing. But since we are in the Feng Shui Gallery, and with Wen Changwang reminding us, with the Mu Yu reminding us, I think the key message is really that time moves nonetheless, but are we here to actually capture the timing? Are we preparing ourselves to go to the Chimes 7 days later? Are we preparing ourselves to have our next collection blessed 60 plus days later, 65 days later, and prepare ourselves for the next start of spring, which is going to be a wonderful one, into the year of the rabbit 109 days later? My goodness, time.
Yes.
Every time I see you one time, Mr. Pino, 1 week has gone by.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
Someone should actually sound this alarm every time we meet. If there's 1 week has gone by.
Nice sound.
Yeah. A lot of timing, a lot of things happening, but the time tells me that our time this episode is pretty much up as well. So we have to ask a question, and we have to choose 3 winners from last week. We mentioned a couple of artifacts today. We already know that next week, 26th or 28th, it's the Chimes exhibition, and something related to this episode. This gentleman over here, we're going to keep him in this gallery. So concerned parents can, or interested parents can come and take a look on the details that we might not be able to cover today and hopefully gain an inspiration about this. Simple. Who is this gentleman? What is his name? Or what is his title? Right? It's very important for exams and official titles. Who is this gentleman that we are talking about today? Since Ming Dynasty, 500-600 years ago, very important, sponsored by the whole village and county, meant to last. Somebody that you will still fall in love with today, right? So put your answers in the comments, and Mr. Pino, I would like you to choose 3 of them. Just put it here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I will read them off. Remember the question that I asked is about who is this?
And at the bottom, I will find the 3rd one.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Yeah. Not a difficult answer. Not a difficult question because many concerned parents around here. The first one would be Wu Sui Yuan, Chinese name. Yeah. Number 1.
Well done.
The
Good
second one that we have is Jervis Chua. There we have it.
All the best. Congratulations.
And the third person that is lucky tonight, To Wei Wei. This one is a sign.
Very good.
A concern.
Congratulations.
She's 2 kids. The daughter is doing very well in school. Wonderful, yeah. To Wei Wei, Jervis Chua, and Wu Shuiyuan. So there we have it. This week and next week is going to be very, very exciting for Lotus Water and our clients. I said that next week, 26th, 28th, is the Chimes exhibition, not to be missed. Okay, get the invitation cards. Have it go stamped so you can come for the 28th mega one. And also this weekend, because by then Eric Rizina, the fashion designer that we are working with, we have seen him many times. He will be in the gallery 22nd, 23rd, Saturday and Sunday, and 24th as well. So be in the gallery this weekend, meet and greet him. If you find that you don't have a nice gown to actually attend the 26th, 27th, 28th exhibition, see, I got it prepared for you. I got him to come to the gallery earlier to actually prepare it for you. Good timing. It's good timing.
It's all about timing.
Right? So, as I was saying, I used to be saying that cheers and see you next week. Yes, but not for Museum in Lotus. Museum in Lotus will come back the week after. Cheers and see you at Chimes next week. Cheers.
Cheers. All the best.